Welcome back to Byte-Sized Tech, where we like to blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets. But today we're stepping away from all the shiny new apps and diving deep into something a little more unsettling.
Oh, yeah.
Online scams. We've got a stack of research here from an actual scam baiter. Talk about going undercover.
It is a world most people only see the surface of, but the depth and the complexity of these scams is truly fascinating.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We all know about those classic tech support scams, like call this number because your computer has a virus, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what are some of the more creative, maybe even sneaky scams out there?
You wouldn't believe it. One that's becoming increasingly common is the gift card scam.
Really?
Yeah, they'll demand payment in iTunes or Amazon gift cards, claiming it's for a utility bill or even taxes.
Oh, wow.
What's alarming is that many people actually fall for it.
Seriously? Why? Gift cards, of all things.
It's all about anonymity and speed. Gift cards are practically untraceable, and they can be quickly converted to cash or even cryptocurrency.
So it's like digital cash, but even slipperier for authorities to track.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to remember no legitimate organization will ever demand payment in gift cards. Ever.
Got it. Red flag alarm bells run the other way if you hear those words. Speaking of red flags, what about those romance scams we see popping up all over Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Those feel especially predatory.
Absolutely. They build these elaborate fake profiles, often pretending to be successful professionals or even celebrities. They play on people's emotions, weaving these stories of hardship, needing financial help, all to gain your trust and eventually your money.
It's wild how they can even impersonate celebrities. Don't people get suspicious?
That's where the manipulation comes in. These scammers are masters at their craft. They create a sense of urgency playing on your emotions to get you to act impulsively without thinking things through.
Wow. So it's like emotional engineering combined with tech savvy. What can people do to protect themselves, especially when it comes to confirming someone is actually who they say they are online?
Verifying identities online is crucial.
Yeah.
If someone seems too good to be true or things escalate too quickly, take a step back. Do some independent research. Check their social media profiles, do a reverse image search of their photos, see if their story holds up. Don't be afraid to ask questions and trust your gut if something feels off.
It's like the digital equivalent of trust but verify. Now, we can't talk about online scams without mentioning scam baiting. You know those brave souls who turn the tables on the scammers? What exactly does that entail?
Scam baiting is all about wasting the scammer's time and resources, sometimes even exposing them publicly. It can involve engaging in lengthy conversations, creating fake scenarios, or leading them on wild goose chases.
I've heard some scam baiters use incredible tactics. Voice-changing tech to disguise their identity, remote access tools to control the scammer's computer, even accessing their webcams.
It sounds like something out of a spy movie, right?
Absolutely. But I imagine it can get pretty risky, right?
It can be. Scam baiting should only be done by experienced individuals who know how to protect themselves. It's not about vigilante justice. It's about disruption and awareness.
So for the average person, probably best to leave it to the pros.
Exactly. For those of us who aren't seasoned scam baiters, there are plenty of practical steps we can take to protect ourselves.
Let's talk about those practical steps. What are some essential tips everyone should know?
First and foremost, never, ever allow anyone remote access to your computer or phone, even if they claim to be from tech support.
Right.
Your devices are your digital fortresses. Don't hand over the keys to strangers.
Makes sense. What else should people be wary of?
Always be cautious of unusual payment requests. If someone asks for payment in gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency, that's a major red flag. Stick to secure and traceable payment methods.
It's all about reducing that anonymity, making it harder for them to vanish with your money. Don't rush into any financial decisions either. If something feels even slightly off, talk it over with a friend, family member, or someone you trust. A second opinion can make all the difference.
You're absolutely right, and it's especially important on social media where scammers can easily blend in and target specific groups. They might focus on religious organizations or charities. Knowing people in those communities are generally more trusting and willing to help.
That makes sense. We need to be extra vigilant about our privacy settings on social media and think twice about what information we share publicly.
Precisely. It's all about minimizing your digital footprint and being mindful of who has access to your information. Now, let's talk about those pesky, unsolicited calls and texts. Is there any way to actually stop them altogether?
I feel like I'm constantly bombarded with spam calls and shady texts. It's incredibly frustrating.
I hear you. While completely eliminating them is tough, you can certainly minimize their impact The best strategy. Ignore them completely.
Even if it's tempting to unleash a verbal beatdown on those scammers?
Uh-huh.
I'll admit I've been close to losing it a few times.
I get it, the temptation is real, but here's the thing. Responding even angrily just confirms your number is active and might lead to even more scam attempts.
So silence is golden in this case. Just report and block right.
You got it. And a word of caution about those links embedded in text messages. Clicking on those could expose you to phishing attacks or even download malware onto your device.
So those "you've won a free cruise" texts are a definite no-go.
Exactly. They're designed to trick you into giving up personal information or downloading harmful software. Now, I know seniors are frequently targeted by these scammers. What advice do you have for them and for their families who want to protect them?
It's heartbreaking how these scammers exploit the trust and vulnerability of seniors.
It is. We've talked about the grandparent scam, where they prey on the emotional bond between grandparents and grandchildren. It's crucial for seniors and their families to set up a verification system. A code word only the real grandchild would know, or a rule about always contacting another family member to confirm any urgent requests for help.
So basically, don't let emotions and urgency cloud your judgment.
Hmm.
Always verify, verify, verify.
Exactly. Now, on a slightly unsettling note, we need to talk about how these scams are evolving. They're no longer just about clumsy emails and robotic phone calls.
Oh no, what's scarier than that?
Scammers are now using advanced technology like voice changers and AI to sound incredibly convincing. It can be almost impossible to distinguish a real call from a fake one these days.
Wow, that's terrifying. So we need to be even more vigilant and skeptical than ever before.
Absolutely. Trust your instincts and don't be afraid to question anything that seems suspicious. Independent verification is your best weapon in the fight against these evolving scams.
Solid advice. Okay, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today, but we're just getting started. We'll be back in a moment with more tips and insights on how to stay safe in the digital world. Don't go anywhere. And we're back with Byte-Sized Tech, continuing our deep dive into the murky world of online scams. It's a digital minefield out there, but luckily we've got the knowledge to navigate it safely.
Knowledge is definitely power when it comes to these things. Understanding the tricks of the trade can really help you spot a scam from a mile away.
So let's talk about those telltale signs, those scam siren songs that should make everyone hit the mental pause button.
Yeah.
What should we be listening out for?
Well, the first alarm bell is always unsolicited contact. Whether it's a phone call, email, text, even a DM on social media, if you didn't initiate it, approach with caution.
Especially if it's one of those "congratulations, you've won $1 million"
Yeah.
messages.
Right.
I mean, who actually wins those things?
Exactly. If it sounds too good to be true, it almost always is. And that sense of urgency, they create the act now or miss out pressure tactic. That's another big giveaway.
Oh, I know those. They make it sound like the world's going to end if you don't hand over your bank details right this second.
It's all about making you act impulsively, preventing you from thinking things through logically. And of course, those unusual payment requests are always a huge red flag. No legitimate company is going to demand payment in Amazon gift cards.
Right, because then it's virtually untraceable. Speaking of which, we touched on gift cards earlier, but what about cryptocurrency? That seems like a scammer's dream currency.
You're not wrong. The decentralized nature of cryptocurrency makes it very attractive for these operations. It's difficult to trace, transactions are often irreversible, and that makes it ideal for moving money under the radar.
So how do we spot those crypto scam red flags? What should we watch out for?
Be wary of any unsolicited investment opportunities, especially those promising ridiculously high returns with little to no risk. And if someone is pressuring you to invest quickly or demanding payment only in cryptocurrency, consider that a major red flag.
It sounds like a good rule of thumb is if it smells fishy in the real world, it's probably rotten in the digital one too. Now, I know we've all heard those horror stories about tech support scams. How do they even work?
They're surprisingly simple, actually. Often it starts with a pop-up message on your computer flashing warnings about a virus or system error.
Right, yeah.
It looks official, even scary, and it urges you to call a toll-free number for immediate assistance.
And that's where they get you right.
Yeah.
Because that number doesn't connect you to actual tech support at all.
Exactly. It goes straight to the scammers, who will then try to convince you to give them remote access to your computer, allowing them to steal your information or install malware.
So remember, folks, never grant remote access to your computer unless you are 100% certain you're talking to a legitimate representative from a company you trust.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
If you have any doubts, hang up and call the official customer support number of the company in question. They can confirm if there is a genuine issue.
Great advice. Now let's talk about something that really hits home for a lot of people. Romance scams. How do these scammers manage to manipulate people so effectively?
They prey on people's loneliness and desire for connection, building fake profiles on dating sites or social media using stolen photos and carefully crafted backstories.
Mm.
They then spend weeks, even months, grooming their victims, showering them with compliments and affection, weaving elaborate tales of hardship and needing financial help.
It's almost like they're creating these custom-made traps for vulnerable people.
In a way, they are, and by the time they start asking for money, the victim is often emotionally invested and more likely to believe their story, even if it sounds far-fetched.
So the key takeaway here is to be extremely cautious when forming online relationships, especially if things escalate quickly and involve requests for money. Trust your gut, and if something feels off, it probably is.
You're right. And it's never a bad idea to talk to a friend or family member about your online relationships. They might be able to spot red flags you're missing because you're too close to this situation.
It's like having a digital wingman or wingwoman looking out for your best interest. Now, we know seniors are often the target of these heartless scammers. What are some scams that specifically target older adults, and what can they do to protect themselves?
One common one is the sweepstakes scam, where seniors receive a notification that they've won a large prize but need to pay a fee or provide personal information to claim it.
Well, I've heard about these. It's always a processing fee or taxes on the winnings, right?
Exactly. Remember, legitimate sweepstakes and lotteries never require winners to pay any fees up front.
That's a good one to remember. So let's say, worst case scenario, someone falls victim to one of these scams. What steps should they take?
The first and most important step is to report the scam to the appropriate authorities. That could be the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, the Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, your local police department, or even your state's attorney general.
So there are multiple channels for reporting these things. It's not a dead end, even if it feels that way at first.
Absolutely. Reporting helps authorities track down scammers and prevent others from falling victim. It also helps you document the incident for potential insurance claims or legal action.
And what about financial institutions? Should you contact your bank or credit card company if you've lost money to a scam?
Definitely. They may be able to reverse fraudulent transactions or put a freeze on your accounts to prevent further unauthorized activity. They're also a good resource for advice on how to protect yourself in the future.
It's like they're part of your scam fighting squad. Okay, so reporting is crucial, but what else can you do to mitigate the damage?
It's essential to change your passwords immediately for any accounts that might have been compromised. And review your bank statements and credit card bills carefully for any suspicious transactions. It's also a good idea to run a security scan on your computer to check for malware.
It's like a digital detox, cleaning up any traces of the scam and making sure your devices are safe.
Exactly. And don't forget the human element. Falling victim to a scam can be emotionally draining and even embarrassing, but it's important to remember it can happen to anyone. Don't be afraid to talk to someone you trust, a friend, family member, therapist, or support group. Sharing your experience can help you process what happened and prevent feelings of isolation.
That's really important. It's a reminder that even though we're talking about the digital world, the impact of these scams is very real and very human.
You hit the nail on the head. Okay, before we move on to some proactive steps you can take to protect yourself, I want to mention a valuable resource for staying informed about the latest scams, the AARP Fraud Watch Network.
I've heard of them. They have a ton of information on their website and even a helpline, right?
They do. It's an excellent resource for anyone looking to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to scam tactics.
Fantastic. We'll make sure to include a link to their website in the show notes. Now, any other pearls of wisdom before we wrap up this section?
Just a reminder to stay vigilant and skeptical. If something seems too good to be true or makes you feel uncomfortable, trust your gut and do your research before taking any action.
Don't click that link. Don't open that attachment. Don't give out your personal information unless you're absolutely sure it's safe.
Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears now and talk about some proactive steps you can take to build your digital defenses.
All right, let's get proactive. What are the essential steps to fortifying our online lives? And we're back for the final leg of our scam-busting journey here on Byte-Sized Tech. We've waded through the muck of online deception, but now it's time to arm ourselves with the tools and tactics to stay safe out there.
Exactly. Let's ditch the doom and gloom and focus on empowering ourselves, because the good news is there's a lot we can do to protect ourselves from these digital predators.
So let's talk strategy. Where do we even begin building these digital defenses?
It might seem obvious, but it's worth repeating. Strong passwords are your first line of defense. And I'm not talking about password 123 or your pet's name. We're talking a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and those special characters everyone loves to hate.
And ideally, a different password for every single account, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a lot to keep track of.
It is, which is why I highly recommend using a password manager.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a secure vault for all your passwords, so you only need to remember one master password to unlock them all. Lifesavers, honestly.
Password managers, check. Got to add that to my to-do list. What else can we do to fortify our online lives?
Enable two-factor authentication wherever possible. It adds an extra layer of security by requiring a code from your phone or email in addition to your password. So even if someone manages to steal your password, they can't get in without that second piece of the puzzle.
It's like having double bolt locks on your digital doors. Okay, so passwords and two-factor authentication are key. What about our devices themselves? Any tips for keeping those safe and sound?
This one is simple but crucial. Keep your software up to date. Those updates may seem annoying, but they often include security patches that fix vulnerabilities that scammers could exploit. Think of it as regularly patching the holes in your digital fortress.
So those update reminders are actually doing us a favor. Who knew?
Yeah.
All right, what about protecting the valuable stuff we store in our devices? Photos, documents, all that irreplaceable digital treasure.
Back up your data regularly. It's your digital safety net. That way, even if you fall victim to a scam or your device crashes, you won't lose your precious memories or important files. There are plenty of cloud storage services and external hard drives that make this super easy.
Backups. So important, yet so easy to procrastinate on. I'm going to set a reminder for myself right now, actually. Okay, we've covered a lot of practical steps here. Any final words of wisdom before we sign off?
Remember, you're not alone in this. If you encounter a scam, don't feel embarrassed to report it. Sharing your experience can help protect others from falling into the same trap. And if you do fall victim, know that there are resources and people who can help you navigate the aftermath.
Absolutely. And we'll have links to all those reporting resources in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. So to recap our scam-busting toolkit: strong passwords, two-factor authentication, keep your software updated, back up your data, and if something seems fishy, report it.
You got it. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay safe out there in the wild world of the web.
Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.